Manufacturing for sure, retail, healthcare. That's where we see a lot of the activities. I believe also when we're looking at Copilot, for instance, from Microsoft, it empowers a lot of salespeople and it empowers a lot of people in general. So, but I do believe that the manufacturing, supply chain, logistics, that there's a lot of opportunity to utilize that data that has been collected over the years to do a lot of predictive analysis, to do a lot of forecasting, and all these things that are going to help them to save money, that help them to speed up certain processes and to be more efficient. I think it will be happening there a lot. In retail, I think you know it's predicting what will customers buy based on history. So can we predict what this customer will buy? Do we need to have more in storage? Do we have to have more in inventory? Do we have to maybe build something or have something in store for these specific customer groups? So I just see that happening there mainly, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's trying to find their footing still. But Andy, I think you mentioned some manufacturing stuff. Are you seeing a lot in that factory space, or what does that look like?
Well, like we talked about ERP software collecting data, and of course we've got decades of data, and we don't know what to do with it. Using the AI analytics and looking at what happened yesterday, they're able to forecast what will happen tomorrow. So therefore, having the right product mix, the right inventory mix, the right satisfying the customer demand, and meeting on-time deliveries. One of the things Nandan was mentioning was predictive maintenance, because when a machine goes down, it costs thousands, if not millions of dollars. So if they can predict that machine is going to have a defect 10 days from now, let's replace that spindle today. It's only going to make companies more and more effective.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it was a report, I was talking to someone, but they were saying, some of these large manufacturing machines, same thing with the healthcare machines, you have x-ray machines or like these large lines of business that have these conveyor belts. You usually have like a warranty, time frame. But if you at least pay attention to that, where it's harder with humans because we tend to change jobs and, I forgot to do the maintenance on that conveyor belt. But if you have AI kind of tracking, this is the usual time things fail. This is the usual time after somebody runs, we can get a better perspective, right? We gain more insight. And I think that's really key to where this goes. So yeah, on the, from Australia side, right? Judith, like how are we seeing that on the other side of that's where I'm at in the world?
So it's interesting, and it's based on the industries on the uptake. So the new ones like the green energy ones that are coming up are quite good on that because it's an industry born for this time. So where I see things is like, especially in utilities, we know we have a aging infrastructure and a lot of predictive maintenance applications from predictive maintenance, and also in terms of calculating the end of life of many things, many big things that have been sitting and humming there for 50 plus years. That'll give us a different way of thinking and also put us in a different paradigm or the exponential curves that we may be dealing with. So it's not about what we have. This is about what we can do with the information that is available in front of us. And things like, do we actually need to replace that transformer, or are we looking for a different energy source? Or what is the best thing that we as humans need to do as we look after the earth or those around us? So those are things that will come in play.
That actually reminds
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Andy.
I was going to say, not just predictive, but actually simulations, so you can see what the potential result happens before it does it, so you can be proactive as opposed to reactive.
Exactly. So it reminds me of a story. I don't know if Nandan, you know this story, but in Chicago, they were trying to be proactive, and they said, hey, they have a bunch of lead pipes in all these houses. And they did a giant AI push for this, and they ended up finding out that they were 99% right. The problem is they would hit these certain houses, they would take up the foundations, and they would work through them. But the humans across the street were like, what about my house? Why is their house They're like, no, it's 99% correct. And every time they would actually go, okay, fine, sir, we'll do your house too. And they found there was no lead pipes, there was no issues, but it cost the city so much money they just had to stop doing it because the humans kind of got in the way and didn't trust it. And there's that FOMO, right? There's that fear of missing out, or there's that fear of like, well, my neighbor's getting, like AI said, my neighbor's is as bad, but why is not I have kids too, right? So how does that look? So how do we deal with that? I mean, Nanda, how do we deal with this human side of this, especially just because we're talking about people centric, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough question. I'm an AI guy, so but
so smart humans keep getting in the way of it all.
Yeah. How do we remove them without the Terminator approach that Andrew said?
Actually, we need to involve humans, but we also need to control humans. Like what you're saying is, they can also come in the way. So I think one is making people aware of the capabilities. So I think in your example, for example, what I'm thinking is you're mentioning is that AI could have helped it better, but the thing is people need to understand the nuances of AI, where it can help, and use AI and like digital twins in this area help, and bring in where people are strong and they can apply, they can use it collaboratively for the solutions. I don't know if that answers your question, Doug, but that's my...
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, right? I think it goes back to what we all deal with, right? Being analysts and being people that work with users and employees and people and humans at the end of the day is it goes back to, we also, if we have these suggestion engines, we need the information, because without the information, we find there's a lot of distrust. So there's a lot of what about me? Or there's a lot of we don't know. So, but we're not going to trust somebody else because, again, if that human is not in the loop saying, here's your orders from the doctor, we're going to order this medicine for you and whatnot, then we're not going to trust it. And so we need that human experience. We need people to tell us, but it's really hard when you have, at least in that instance of that story of like, Chicago changing the pipes out. When you have that, it's very easy to say like, but wait, how do you know? And if they don't provide that information, it becomes very hard. And so, but they can show the test and test again, but a lot of people don't even understand when you show them that testing material or that testing information, they go, well, I don't trust that. Why would I trust a company that is telling me this when they're digging up everybody else, but not my house? Yeah. So I think that's one of the biggest things, right? So yeah, Judith.
On the flip side, right, we can also see a lot of repetitive tasks decreasing from the things that we need to do, and so humans can be more humans. So, for example, things like payroll, time management, all the stuff that is very high data driven, but also very repetitive in terms of things we do. We see a lot of positives in there by the application of AI. So we can potentially move on to things like more downtime for humans, and where we can be humans and be more creative. So life has to be centered around a job or any specific thing. So we can create life the way we want it to.
Yeah. I think Elon Musk just recently said something about that. He said, the future, jobs may go down, or we may have more time. And if we do, then we need some kind of universal basic income. And it's like, well, where's that money come from? I mean, nobody has that answer. And so it'd be great to do that. Maybe we do a 4-day work week and we don't have to work as much. And that maybe that's the mix out here. But there's a lot of unanswered questions. We're trying to answer as many as we can here. But yeah, Ronald, did you have anything to add to kind of what we were talking about around that nuance there?
No, I think everything that was said is I'm pretty much in line with. So I'm not right off the top have some new things to mix in there.
Yeah, not a problem. So yeah, definitely looking at how the humans are definitely part of the problem there, but they're also part of the solution. We want to work with humans in the future. We don't want to, is a classic issue of like when you have like the phone, you type in, it's like, if you're a human, hit 1. If you're not, hit 2. So, but nobody wants to wait in line, right? And if maybe we have future automatons like the robots wait in line for us, and then we QR code and say, hey, I'll come back and have my robot go get it for me. Yeah, maybe that's the win. We would save so much time if we'd have to wait in lines.
Yeah, but maybe this is the thing. So, maybe this particular example that you gave was Chicago is pretty interesting. But if we are looking at businesses and we say, oh, we're going to do AI, we get but wait a minute, right away. And maybe not right away, but there will be resistance because that's human. Or there will be second guessing or questioning or disagreement. But the more transparent an organization can be to their people and understand and explain that this is not a replacement, this is not a to what Judith was saying, like creating more tasks that are more interesting for humans rather than repetitive tasks, taking some of the dangerous stuff away. So explaining why we're doing this. Also, there's and I don't know all the details about that case in Chicago, but they could and government is really good at that by holding back information, right? So they could be more transparent to the population and explain like, hey, this is what we have done. This is the analysis. This is what we see in the street, so. We said 99%, and indeed 2 houses didn't have lead pipe. If they would have had more of that kind of, instead of just pulling the plug on it, more education, more transparency. I think in general that could have helped them a little bit, and that will be very helpful for every other organization that goes on this path.
Right. Yeah. Just to finish up on that, I mean, exactly right. I think we kind of curtailed the idea of kind of what we're talking about here about very people-centric, but the people need to be aware of it. The people need to understand what's happening. We as leaders that are driving these things within inside these companies and these corporations and these entities need to make sure that we're bringing everybody on that journey, right? So back to Nandan's point, bringing the people back in, back to Andy's point, leveraging what we can to make sure people understand like the why. And although they're being assisted by it, it's not a bad thing. Just, it's just not going to answer the questions for them all the time in most cases. And then everybody else just kind of driving in to facilitate that. So I think the future is people. Let's hope it's not in the bad way, but I think we all need to be a part of that conversation. I think we've done very good here talking about that.